Today's the day. You guys keep asking for veggies and sides, so today I'm doing a whole bunch. Let's get into it. What's up, barbecue fans? Welcome back to the patio. My name's Jake. You're watching Roman Cook. Today on the channel, we're talking all about sides. Over the last year or so, you guys have asked multiple times, hey, can you do a side? Can you do some vegetables? Now, I don't do vegetables very often on the channel. In fact, this will be the very first time. But rather than do a video on potatoes and then some vegetables and different sides, I'm gonna do a whole bunch all at once in one video. So let's get into it. When you're making sides, the one thing you gotta do is you've gotta realize how much time they're actually gonna take, right? So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a twice baked potato. I've made these recently in my Mother's Day video where I did some Snake River Farms ribeye fillets. They were delicious, the potato was delicious. However, not everyone saw the video, so we're gonna make one of those. Now this is gonna take the longest amount of time, right? We've gotta cook this potato, then we've gotta let it cool down, then we've gotta stuff it and make our stuffing, and then we've gotta put it back on for 20 minutes. So budget 1 hour and 45 minutes or so to make these. Let's do this first. Now what I've got here is I've just got a bowl, regular old water here. I'm gonna put some salt in here, and this is just gonna help kind of salt brine our potato. Just put a nice salty flavor on the outside of it. Dilute that salt in there, stick our potato in there. So we're gonna just let this sit in here for a couple minutes, and when this dries, what happens, we're gonna get that nice salty flavor on the outside. We are gonna stick a fork in it a couple times here. We'll let that sit for 2 minutes. So after we've given that a soak, you can pull that out. And what'll happen here is as this dries off, it'll leave a nice salty flavor all over the skin. You can, while it's still wet, add a little bit more salt if you like. Mom always told me all the nutrients is in the skin, so I definitely eat that whole skin. Today we're using the links, mainly because I've got a whole bunch of area to work with, and I've got some side burners. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna stick that on the top shelf. Now we're running, right now we're just over 500, I'm bringing it back down. We're gonna be running around 400 degrees for most of this stuff. So what we're gonna do, I'm trying to have everything done around the same time. So I'm gonna give this about a 30-minute head start, and then we'll start on the rest of the potatoes. Now I'm gonna do potatoes a few different ways because I love me some potatoes, but don't worry, I'm gonna add some vegetables and some corn. So let's give this guy a head start, and then we'll get on the next steps. So now that we've given our twice baked potato a head start, we can start on the next one. Now you might have noticed that I did not wrap it in foil or anything. I want that skin crunchy. This one we're gonna wrap in foil. We're gonna do a little differently. First, we need some onion. And to be honest, I really prefer doing this with red onion. However, I forgot to get some red onion. So we're using white onion. Really, it doesn't matter, just the red onion's got a little bit of a nicer look for the final product. I'll put that over here. And what we're doing here is we are actually going to slice in some cuts here, like so. And we will cut our onion in half. And we're gonna make some wedges with our onion to replace the potato we just cut out. Now they're gonna stick out a little bit, don't worry about that. And you can always kind of stuff a little bit extra in there if it's if you cut too thin of a piece. Now what we'll do is we'll get some foil here. This is just some olive oil. I like to give a pretty good heavy coating. Now this is some Merlot salt. You can use any kind of kosher salt you want. I like this. Gives it a nice little pop of red. So the big thing here is we want a little bit of oil so that our foil does not take out these onions when we take it apart. And I've just got some across the top here, and I'm just gonna take that and I'm gonna place it right on top. I'll let all my salt fall down so we can get that to stick. And just like that, we got ourselves a potato. Throw this on. Now some people, like my wife, like a sweet potato. I'm not a big fan. Took my knife in, but you just want to give this a little bit of a cut. And for this guy, just wrap that up. Now I've just got these on the top shelf out of the way, and what we'll do is we're going to give them a little bit of time. We are going to make 2 more different types of potatoes, and then we'll get on to some vegetables. The other types of potatoes don't take nearly as long, so we're going to give these guys about a 20-minute head start. Now we'll move on to a sweet onion, otherwise known as a Vidalia onion, and we want 2 flat sides, okay? Take the top off here. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take our knife and we're going to dig in. See, what I've done here is I've made a hole right in the center. So what we'll do here is we will put this on a plate. We've got some olive oil here. Coat all the way around the outside. And that's going to allow, we'll use our other salt here, and we'll take some fresh cracked pepper, although I'm going to make it a little coarser. Don't need much. And then I'm going to take some aged balsamic, a little heavy there. This is why you want it flat. You see it's pouring out a little bit. But what we're going to do now is we're going to stick this on top. Stick this guy on top here. And we're just going to let that slow cook. Now I'm putting everything on top just so I don't have direct heat pounding the bottom of it. Everything's still running right around 400. Now that onion, let me tell you, is a delicious side just to have on its own, or if you have some steak, to break it up and eat it with the steak. But I'll tell you what, if you like onion at all, that sweet onion with some balsamic on it is going to be delicious. So now we can work on our final type of potato. These guys are some fingerling potatoes. Now these things are delicious, let me tell you. They're an odd little shape, and they usually come in golden and red, depending on how you get them, but they're usually different colors. There might be a purple one in here, I can't remember yet. There is. So like presentation wise, they're kind of cool because you get some different colors. Now you can serve these this size, or I actually like to break them up a little bit. Try and keep them kind of equal so they all cook the same. But I love the looks of the purple potato. Just something different. And the reason why we're keeping them similar sizes is so that they'll cook roughly the same. All right, so there's a little grouping of potatoes. Get yourself some foil. Now this is not the heavy duty foil that I usually use, so I'm just gonna double fold it here. Double fold it twice, so we've got a little bit of a strong bottom here. All right, and we're making ourselves just a little container these guys can go into. We'll put a little bit of oil on the bottom just so they don't stick. A little oil on top. And again, I'm going to stick with my Merlot salt. Fresh ground pepper. Now this is some onion salt, or sorry, onion powder, and garlic powder. And I'm going to put, this is crushed rosemary. And I'm going to take a little bit of onion in larger chunks here. Just kind of break that on top. Now I like to season my potatoes a little bit first, and then we'll get a little bit of oil. And just a touch of salt on the onions. So you've got 2 options with this. You can leave it as it sits, got ourselves a little foil boat here, or you can make a pouch and seal it. I'm gonna leave it like this today. If I had some fresh rosemary, I would actually put a couple sprigs throughout there, and that would be delicious. Let's put this on. All right, so this one I'm gonna put lower on the main level grate because I want to take advantage of some of that extra heat, and I'm going to get a little bit of charring on the bottom of that. We'll flip the potatoes throughout the cooking process. So while we're waiting for potatoes to cook, we can start to work on some of the mix for our twice baked potato. I'm going to show you my favorite bacon hack here. Now this works breakfast sandwiches, anytime you want bacon bits, just maybe even for salads, but I always keep bacon in the freezer, and I just cut off the one side so it's open, peel back the paper, and then we take a bread knife. And now as these cook, they're gonna split apart, and we're gonna have bacon bits. And it's just an easy way. Always keep your bacon fresh. So now what we'll do is we'll just get this cooking away. We'll see how this works with the window here, but we're gonna simmer this away slow, right? You wanna be careful not to overcook it because they're gonna be very small pieces. You're gonna slowly bring them up to temperature. They're gonna break apart, and then we're gonna fry them just like bacon bits. And when we're done that, we'll get on to some onions. Let me put this in the freezer. I'll bring you back as these are starting to finish. So you can see here after only 2 minutes, everything's broken apart nice and easily. So keep stirring this around and cook them till they get brown, but not too crispy. After only about 5 minutes, you can see our bacon's got some good color. This is done. Let's get this off. And I've just got a bowl here with some paper towel in it. We're going to scrape our bacon in here, get rid of some of that grease. We'll just let these cool off the side. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get some onions ready. So I'm gonna go a little on the thicker side, but not crazy. I just want a little bit we're gonna saute these up to go in our twice baked potato. And you just need a rough, nothing crazy, right? Now I am gonna take out a touch of the bacon grease because I don't really need that much. So what I did here is I just took and drained out the bacon grease. It's gonna get some bacon flavor from the fond that's left over in here. And this oil is gonna warm up pretty quickly because our pan is so hot. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take these onions with a juice groove. I forgot that was there on this one. And we're putting like maybe a tablespoon of oil here. And we're also gonna put just a touch of salt to help draw out some of the moisture. And the big thing here with our onions, we want to caramelize these. We don't want to fry them, so we're going to cook them almost on low. On this guy, it's actually on low. Inside, depending on what you're cooking on, it's going to be like a medium low. You want to hear some sizzling, but you want to take your time so you can develop a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of color on there that'll just add to that flavor. This is going to take 8 to 10 minutes, just so you know. So while our onions are cooking, we'll have a look inside. You can see our skin is quite crispy on this. Ooh. And our potato is soft. It's been about an hour and 15 minutes to give you a reference since we started. The one thing I want to point out, I carved a little bit of a deep hole in our onion here, and my balsamic vinegar just drained out the bottom as it cooked. So I've actually topped it up twice, but what's happening is it's sucking that flavor into the onion. This is going to be delicious. The other thing that I did real quick is I turned over my potatoes with some tongs, and I moved them up to the top because they were starting to get nice and crispy, which I want, but the inside wasn't cooking as quick because it was so hot down below. We're going to prep our other vegetables, and then we'll come back to our twice baked potato after our onions are done. All right, so while I was inside washing all my vegetables, I let my onions go a little longer than I wanted. They do have a little bit of char on them, some of them, but they're not burnt, so they're gonna be okay. See, they've got a little char on them. They're not burnt yet, but they are definitely a little further than I wanted. They'll work just fine. Just wanted to show you, you want a little less than that. That does bring up a good point. You know, off camera, we're washing stuff. We're washing our vegetables and whatnot before we put everything together. I'm not showing you all those little steps, but I assume most people know and we'll do that. So now what we've got here is we've got a little vegetable melody, we'll call it. Now, there are a couple different ways to do this. We can grill these up, cut them into chunks, lay them on the grill, and then go through and flip them. A little bit of work, especially if you're doing it for a lot of people. You can use these guys, little bamboo skewers. These are great. You can get a fair amount on here. Or you can use this thing, and this is called Firewire. I bought 2 of these years ago, but here's a cool thing, right? You can put all your vegetables on there. I can actually season them all, put them in here, throw them in a Ziploc bag, put them in the fridge so they're prepped ahead of time, and then you just flip them. It's super easy. I'm going to use these today because I've got a little bit of vegetables here. I'll try and find those and put a link for you below. But what we got here is we've got a couple different varieties of peppers. When I do something like grilled vegetables, I like to have some color to it. So we will clean these guys up a little bit. And just like that, we've got a whole bunch of color to put on our skewers. Before we forget, let's grab our twice baked potato because it's been a little bit of time. And it's done. And you can see it's rock hard right now. As it cools off, it will back off a little bit. We're gonna put that right there to cool off. And then for these guys, you can throw them in a Ziploc bag to season them. A little bit of olive oil, salt, put just a touch of onion there, hint of garlic, and I'm going to go back in with some crushed rosemary. Usually I go pretty heavy with that. Give them a good stir. If you put them in a bag, you can just shake them up. It makes it a little easier, but just like that. I'll show you how this guy works. So again, this is something I would use red onion for, just for the color difference. But all we do is fill this guy up. Just like that, you can see how many vegetables these things can hold. They're awesome. We're gonna let these sit for a minute while we work on our twice baked potato. So let's prep our potato. You can see I've got some gloves on here and I've got some cotton underneath. What that does is it helps protect from the heat. This guy's still gonna be hot, but you can see is our skin's got a little soft again. Now that it's rested, it will crisp back up. Now the easiest way to do these guys is just to cut off the top, like so. And now we're going to put everything into a bowl here. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to scoop this out. Be careful, you want to keep the integrity of the potato intact. If you rip through the skin, you've just ruined your twice baked potatoes. And one of the reasons why I like to get that skin nice and crispy is it just gives it some more structural integrity, and we're able to clean that out and leave it just like that. Now, we got some butter, we got some cheddar cheese, we got some green onions, we've got some bacon, we've got our other onions, and then we've got some salt, pepper, and we mix. Now all we do is we just scoop all this goodness back into our potato. And to top this guy off, we get some smoked paprika. Give it a nice hint of color up there. Now I'm gonna put that guy back on there for another 15 minutes or so, 20, and we'll work on the final sides. And now we're getting down to the wire. So these guys, speaking of wire, can go on. Now you wanna be cooking over a medium heat. Don't cook them too fast or you'll just burn them. And what I did, I didn't mention when I was cutting them up, but you can see that the squash and zucchini tends to cook quicker than the peppers, so I just cut them thicker. So what we'll do here, we'll grab these guys like so. So we know those are going to take about 10 minutes, so we'll put them off the side. Let's talk about corn on the cob. So this you can see, or maybe not see, but this has been run under water so that it is damp. I've got some scissors here. What I'm doing here is I'm just, anything that's straggling off the side I'm going to get rid of, and I like to cut off that top furry part, just like so. We'll cut this off, and this one's actually in pretty good shape. If you've got a piece that's really dried out, I'll get rid of it, but these aren't too bad. You can put this on for 5 to 10 minutes. It does not take too long. We'll talk asparagus real quick. Now asparagus, find where it breaks. That'll get rid of the woody part. Asparagus goes from being amazing to terrible in a heartbeat. So 3 minutes, 4 minutes tops. What I'm going to do is I've got the olive oil and the salt, pepper, and rosemary that I used before. You can put whatever you like on it, but since I've already got a little bit in the bottom here, this will be just fine. Now, if you want to steam rosemary, little side pro tip, get yourself one of those, steaming pots and throw in a sprig or two of rosemary with it. Talk about delicious. Someone in the grocery store said that to me and I was like, I don't know about that. And then I tried it and I was like, man, is it ever good? So these are in good shape there. We'll give them a little bit of a stir up so I can get in that oil and some of the seasoning from before. We'll throw our corn on. As you may be able to tell, one piece of corn left. My wife came and grabbed it. But look what we got here. You've got all kinds of delicious sides. Now, truth be told, these guys got a little overcooked. They got a little ignored. They're crunchy, almost like a fry, but they don't have that French fry taste. But I do like the char on them. Just a little bit of a different potato. So real quick, before we get into trying all this, let's talk about the contest. Every video I do a contest, and you could win a $25 gift card to @bbq.com. Super easy to enter. All you got to do is be subscribed to the channel, leave a comment down below. You can use hashtag sides, hashtag veggies, and leave a comment. Next video, what I'll do is I will use a random comment picker, and if I choose you, you'll get a $25 gift card to @bbq.com. If you happen to be a Patreon member, it starts at $5. Please help support the channel. I'll double it and make it $50 just as a thank you. So before we can dig in, let's look at last week's winner. We're looking at the brisket hold video where I held the brisket at 170. The hashtags were hashtag workhorse, hashtag brisket. We had 62 unique comments using the hashtag. Lee Hill, Great cook as always. You make cooking brisket on the workhorse look easy. Sorry, my wife interrupted me in the middle of the video. Anyhow, Lee, congratulations. You will win a $25 gift card to bbq.com. Thanks for the comment. I will comment on your comment. Get you to email me. We'll confirm it's you, and then we'll get you that gift card. Let's get back to the video. And here we are. Now, I am not going to eat all this. I'm going to try a couple of my favorites. Sweet potatoes are not even my thing. Those are for my wife. The vegetables, really, I can take them or leave them. I do like some onion. Good texture here. I like my vegetables to have a little crunch to them. I don't want them mushy. These are perfect. Asparagus, the same thing. I mean, most people don't like a mushy asparagus. I want a little bit of crunch. You can taste that char on them. This onion, right now, the outer skin did get burnt. So I just peeled that off. But this stuff, I mean, the outside is my favorite. But the whole thing is delicious. It's nice and sweet, super tender, good on its own. I'll eat half of that before I even put it on my steak. I might even eat a whole onion. Now, if you did this on your Yoder pellet grill or your Komodo Kamado, you can get some smoke in there and it's even better. What else are we gonna try here? I mean, you guys know what corn on the cob is. Oh, real quick, show you this potato. You can see we've got those onions sitting on top there. Now, if they're red onions, you can just imagine it's just a little bit better presentation. And then what I do is I just chop them down the center, mix in some sour cream, a little bit of chives, maybe some cheddar, and then you've got a potato with some onion in it. And this masterpiece right here, I could eat these all day long. Just full of flavor. They really impress your guests. They are easy to make, they just take a little bit of time. So hopefully you guys got what you're looking for. We got a whole bunch of sides here. There's a couple others I was gonna do, but this was a lot to juggle for one video. So I'm gonna go in and share this with my wife, have kind of a vegetable lunch. And thanks as always for watching. I'll see you soon.